Okay, this isn't another gun control segment. This is a story about what could happen if we listened to each other. I mean, really listened. If you Google gun violence research after shootings in Thousand Oaks, Pittsburgh, Parkland, Chicago, there's no hard evidence that proves arming teachers will make our schools safer or that banning certain types of guns will lead to fewer mass shootings. That's because we just don't have enough data to support these theories, whether they come from the right or left. Scientists at the CDC have been trying to change that for almost 40 years, but something called the Dickey Amendment got in their way. This is a key piece of legislation that states no CDC funds, quote, may be used to advocate or promote gun control. It's popped up in every federal funding bill since 1996. In the 10 years before the Dickey Amendment, the CDC funded extensive research into the root causes of firearm injuries. And by the mid-90s, a man named Mark Rosenberg became the go-to guy for all things gun violence at the CDC. He and his team produced study upon study. One found a higher risk for homicide and suicide when guns are in the home. The gun lobby called it junk science, and the NRA had enough. They seemed determined to block the CDC's $2.6 million cash flow. Either they do research or we keep our guns. At least that's what the NRA supposedly told members. We reached out to them for comment and didn't hear back. And that's where Jay Dickey comes in. He's the Republican rep and NRA member from Arkansas who sponsored this amendment. It technically didn't ban research, but it just made it really difficult for government scientists to pursue it. And CDC funding for gun violence research is down 96% since the Dickey Amendment took effect. So that guy Rosenberg from the CDC I mentioned earlier, these two were at odds. Dickey and Rosenberg, I mean hardcore enemies on opposite ends of the gun debate, right? So they meet in person for the first time in '96. Rosenberg tells me it did not go well. 2 weeks later, they meet again, this time in Dickey's office on Capitol Hill. Rosenberg looks around, sees photos of Dickey's family on the wall. As dads, they find common ground. They become friends. Fast forward to 2012. It's right after the Aurora shooting where 12 people died in a movie theater and more than 50 were injured. Jay Dickey, Arkansas Republican, NRA point person, realizes the chilling effect his legislation has had on this research and reverses his stance.
What I'm regretting is that we didn't go forward and stop the funding of the gun control agenda and start anew a different investigation or research into gun violence.
Through his friendship with Rosenberg, he saw a way to pursue the evidence without the advocacy. And Rosenberg learns the science community needs to be upfront about their intentions. Just say off the bat, we're not trying to take your guns. So Dickey and Rosenberg write an op-ed together in the Washington Post. They were like, look at how we reduced motor vehicle fatalities. That's what we can do with gun violence.
Know that if you raise the driving age from 16 to 17, you save a lot of lives. We owe them the data.
Yep.
We need to be able to tell them if you raise the age for purchasing weapons, then you save lives, or we need to tell them it doesn't have any impact.
Virtually the same amount of people are killed by cars and guns every year. Government research into traffic safety led to seatbelts, airbags, and a legal drinking age. It may have saved about 600,000 lives, and we didn't even have to ban cars.
That when the highway industry tried to say we want to stop head-on collisions, they didn't say let's get rid of the car. They didn't say we're not going to have any more trucks on the road, and that way we can eliminate head-on collisions. We can find a solution without touching guns, I believe, without touching the Second Amendment rights that we have.
Jay Dickey died last year. Rosenberg says the NRA stopped returning Dickey's calls after he expressed regret. Now, Dickey's son and ex-wife, both Republicans, are now working with Mark Rosenberg to restore federally funded firearm research. It would take a bipartisan coalition seeing the value in the science for that to actually happen. Now, I just talked to Rosenberg last night. He wanted to make this clear. Good research and solutions will look for ways to reduce violence while protecting Second Amendment rights. These two unlikely friends proved it doesn't have to be one or the other. Dickey and Rosenberg. Name a more iconic duo.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.